I was finally able to use my shiny Vespiqueen in the Championship Series Cup, and for good reason. This is the hardest answer to the most common Pokemon, Oranguru, and I have a really good IV one that is shiny, that is so epic, and it got buffed so many times, like every single move on Vespiqueen actually got buffed one time at least, and that is kinda cool, which makes Pokemon now actually very solid, and it's mainly here to counter Oranguru. And so we have an elite tier Pokemon that is going to be able to destroy everything that's not Oranguru. And here we're going to have the Vespiquen stopping in. And I have actually no idea that this was the first battle here, by the way. I didn't try to do that, but as you guys see as well, this is just going to be a nice showcase on why Vespiquen all of a sudden is going to have that much play here in this meta, because this Pokemon, the Oranguru, is so insanely common. And what we see as well is that I'm going to be able to just spam those Exodus, gonna be able to get the KO here, but not only this, I also still have the Power Gem, which is amazing coverage for this Pokemon, for this meta here as well, against a Dugong. And why is it so great as a coverage move? The main reason for this is that you're going to have a weakness to Ice as well as Fire-type Pokemon with the Vespiquen, both of which you're going to be able to counter with the Power Gem. And so this is the main reason why I like this Pokemon so much. And here we're going to see Elite of the Dusknoir against the Dusknoir. This is going to be a very interesting matchup where I am going to be able to actually win it. What I usually do here is I actually decide to do one of two things. Depending on the IVs of the Dusknoir, if I see that I have less health than the opponent, I decide to go for my charge move earlier, trying to knock them out with that. If I see that the opponent and me have the same amount of health, I sometimes just completely play it out and try to farm them down and then align myself, or yeah, both Pokemon go down at the same time, which is also fine. And so there are two different ways of really playing the lead matchup out. Both ways are right for you though, because you're going to be able to always get the Dusknoir low, which you kind of want to have with a team, because Vespiquen isn't as great against the Dusknoir. It's not the worst either. And Glalie isn't as great either. It's also not the worst either there as well, because you have Shadow Ball on the Glalie, but you also have the weakness to Dynamic Punch. And so, yeah, it is generally alright to deal with. However, if I see this Pokemon in the lead, I'm generally just playing it out though. I don't really see the point of stopping out there, and I think it's best like this. What's also best like this is to let this Wild Charge go through against our shiny version here of the Glalie, and we're going to be able to win this battle, and we can move on to the next opponent, where yet another Dusknoir evades. So we're going to be able to just go for the full farm down against the opponent. Are we? Yep. This is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm not going to risk the CMP tire. I just want to fully farm them down, because now I'm going to leave here with 2 Shadow Punches. And they swap out into the Gyarados. And trust me, I do think that I cannot play it out a little bit better like this, because now all of a sudden, I'm not only going to have switch advantage, I'm also going to be able to either get rid of the Gyarados fully, which I do, and then we only have the Mangano in the back now. That is perfect, as a Vespiquen comes in, and while we don't have flying type coverage on this Pokemon anymore, what we're going to have is we're going to have a very defensive bulky B here that can take easily 2 Ice Punches from the opponent's Medicham, and with that we are in a very solid spot. What we can do is we can go for the X-Scissor, we can go for the X-Scissor spam, but at this point I kinda want to try something. I want to try to catch the Ice Punch, and I'm not going to be able to do that, and that is going to be quite a bit tricky. And now all of a sudden Medicham looks like a bit of a issue for me. I'm not sure. I don't think so, actually, because what we have here is yet another Avalanche coming through. I don't think we're in farm down range yet as well with our Pokemon here, and so I'm going to be able to use a shield. With that, I'm going to be able to outspeed the opponent, and I have a charge move stone on both of my Pokemon, and both of them have, I think, a higher attack stat than the Medicham, and so I am going to be able to win this battle by going for yet another Exeter, with my Vespiquen winning us this one. We can move on to the next opponent, where we will face Homrich, a great lead for us. This is going to be a matchup that I definitely enjoy quite a bit, and we see the Goodrive stopping in, and I should have most days stopped out straight away into my Glalie. This is definitely a mistake, but I know also that was distracted during this battle, definitely. So yeah, I should have definitely played a little bit differently, but it's okay. I'm still going to be able to get the shield here. I was using my own shield. This is all fine though, so far. Like, I'm not really too worried about it yet. But why I would have stopped out straight away into my Glalie is not only because I would have just one-shot the Gudra, so there was no point of going for extra damage prior to that, but also would have had access then to Shadow Ball against that Homrich, which would have been great. But luckily the opponent actually decides to go for a charge, which is so much better for us. Like, going for the Side Shock here is going to allow us now to just have them energy dry. In comes the Arctibax, which is generally not considered to be a great matchup for me at all, but I can deal with it. I can absolutely deal with it. The Avalanche is coming through. I can go for my hard-hitting Power Gem, and they're either going to get the knockout now, or I'm going to be able to get the final shield, and I will get that final shield here. But what we have here next is me using a shield, because as long as I have a 1 fast move advantage, I should be able to knock out the Armor Rouge. Because the benefit of our Dusknoir is it's a 3-turn fast move against a 5-turn fast move, which means I can go for 3 fast moves generally, and then go for my own one. Here, 2 is enough because I know that this Shadow Punch is easily enough to knock out the opponent's Armor Rouge, and with that, we are going to be able to win this battle, and we can move on to the next opponent, where we will face a Gyarados in the lead. And what we do here usually is just to play it out for a bit. This is not too bad. This is honestly not too bad. The Shadow Punch is gonna get shielded and I can stop out now. I can get out my Glalie and I have Shadow Ball for a Pokemon like the Bronzong. And this is the benefit of Glalie. It's an Ice type that is not only a pure Ice type, which gives you also sometimes a little bit less weaknesses, for example, but it's also going to be a Pokemon here that is going to be able to have some solid bulk and still some great coverage against the hardest answers of itself. The hardest answer is going to be fire types, mainly Turtonade in this matter, which is still hit for neutral damage with your charge move, but your fast move is even super effective. Turtonade comes in. This was not scripted. That was actually really not scripted or anything like this. And then we're going to have access to Shadow Ball in order to counter the Bronzong and the Metang, which are the most common Steel type Pokemon. And so this is actually very cool. In comes here though the Power Gem of our Vespiqueen. We missed one of the bubbles there, which doesn't really matter. I'm going to shield this next move here with our Dusknoir. And I want to try to knock them out with the Dusknoir, but they stop out into the Gyarados and it looks quite bad for us now. I think I kind of misplayed this a little bit. Yeah, they're still going to get to another move here. I feel like I misplayed this one. It's going to be even the Crunch knocking us out, and at this point I would have needed to farm them down here. I can't, of course. And so we're going to lose this one good game to the opponent. Oranguru is going to be next, and with that, I'm going to swap out into my Glalie. By the way, if you haven't seen this yet as well, I think we started off with 4 wins and 1 loss. This team was fantastic. Like, this team was absolutely fantastic. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I tried other different teams prior with like Medicham and whatever, which I couldn't just find a team to win with. But also what you're going to see right now is I'm going to start doing polls on the community tab as well for YouTube here. So be involved with that as well, where I try to ask you which Pokemon I should try to build a team around. And yeah, I have a very interesting team that most likely coming up very soon, because I already see the early results of the poll and it's quite obvious which Pokemon a lot of people want to see. So yeah, stay tuned for this one. But here we're going to see now the charge move coming through from the Dusknoir. We are going to be able to get the Shadow Punch off against the opponent's Gyarados, farming them down, giving us an energy lead, giving us the same amount of shields as the opponent, as long as they are not normal type in the back. Okay, there's still the Oranguru. We're going to be fine here. We are going to use a shield here against the Brutal Swing, and we are going to see the Turtonator swapping in. I go for the Dynamic Punch, and this is a mistake. If I went for the other move, I would have actually got there quite fast. Now I have to hope that I somehow survive the Dragon Claw. I do. Vespiqueen is a monster. We can go for the Power Gem to knock out the opponent's Turtonator here. The Bug type knocks out the Turtonator, the Bug type knocks out the Oranguru, and yet again, our Vespiqueen came in clutch here. As we're going to go up against the Dewgong next. This is going to be a very positive matchup for the Dusknoir. Dusknoir knows that this is going to be a good matchup. Dusknoir is going to be able to go for the super effective moves here, as well as we can go for the bait first, which is just going to make it easier for us in the long run. Generally speaking though, we would always outspeed the opponent's Dewgong, even if we go straight for the Dynamic Punch. Unless they're running Aqua Jet, we're always going to be able to outspeed them, but the opponent makes a great play here. They decide to swap out perfectly onto the Dynamic Punch into their own Dusknoir. That is going to be a problem now. I don't have anything really to deal with this Pokemon. And so now, all of a sudden, we are in a position where it looks very unlikely that we're going to be able to win this. Especially as they get another charge move off here. It is going to be the Shadow Punch, luckily. And I have now 2 Avalanches stored, so I'm going to be able to get at least one of them off here, and most likely even another off afterwards. We get rid of the Dusknoir. In comes the Dewgong. I can go still for a Shadow Ball. That is honestly great Glalie. Glalie was a very strong Pokemon. Glalie was surprisingly strong for me as well. And now it depends on what they have in the back. It needs to be something like an Oranguru for me to even have a chance, or something like a Claydol. But there's one big issue here. Claydol has access to Rock Tomb, and Rock Tomb not only debuffs me, it is also a Rock type move. And this is the main weakness of the Vespiqueen. Having Rock type moves against us is very tough, but what we see here as well is that Vespiqueen's amazing bulk is enough to take the hit, get another charge move off, and put them into the range of one fast move of the Dusknoir. The issue here for them is, if they swap, they still go down, as the Dugong doesn't even get the fast move through in time. Claydol is gonna go down from the Shadow Punch, and Dusknoir showcases on what it can do, as well as Vespiqueen being able to survive the hit was super important here. And we can move on to the next opponent, where the Shadow Gyarados is going to go up against our Dusknoir. And as you can see as well, our energy is kind of there at the same time as the opponents, but they actually outspeed me here with the Aqua Tail, and that's fine, because if we see the health of our Pokemon, we see that we are going to be able to win this in the 2-shield scenario quite easily. I tried to catch the move, didn't work out, that is fine by me. I can just go for the full farm down, but I'm actually going to go for the full farm down with my Glady, as I swap out into the Oranguru. That is not great. That is not great at all, because I have a great answer in the back for this Pokemon, but that is fine still. We are still going to be able to guarantee win the 0-shield scenario against the opponent here, and if they want to go for the shield, this is just going to give me farm later on for my Vespiqueen. They're still going to be forced to go for a hard-hitting charge move here. It is going to be the Trailblaze to knock me out nearly out, and I can swap out here into my Vespiqueen, forcing them to go for the charge move straight away, but also forcing them out of here. Dugong comes in, and this is going to be such a tough matchup. I'm not too sure we're going to be able to still win this. We're kind of getting hard-walled the entire time here, but as we will see, there's going to be the Dugong now getting the Icy Wind off, and this is gonna be tricky, because now we still have to deal with this Pokemon with our Dusknoir. The Shadow Punch is coming through. I gained as much energy as possible, because now I need only 2 fast moves in order to reach a move against the Oranguru, which is going to be crucial in order to get the KO here with a Shadow Punch against the normal type. And as we will see, there is the Gyarados coming in. Can we still win this battle? We cannot. They survived with 1 HP, the rollout came through, but it didn't do the damage yet, because the opponent knocked me out at just 1 singular turn prior. And here against the Dusknoir, I'm going to go straight for my move. Again, there are different ways of playing this one out. I decide to go straight for my move here, which allows me to stay actually healthy enough to maybe swap out and use my Pokemon later on. And welcome to the worst Pokemon I could imagine. The Fearow. I fear Fearow, because I don't have a great answer to Fearow. But the thing is here as well, my switch clock is kinda up very soon, and I hope I can take that hit and I can swap out of here into my Vespiqueen. But as you're gonna see here as well, I'm not gonna be able to do so. And I hope they use a shield. This is my only way of winning this battle, but they decided to not do that. Put everything onto the Fearow, and this was a smart decision by them, but also quite a risky decision. In a manner with so many Ice-type Pokemon, keeping it all for this one is quite risky. I would have not done it if I was the opponent myself, like I would have played a different way. But I guess they trusted into the Fearow, and that was the right choice for them. Because now they can even shield up this move here, most likely. They decided to let the move go, actually, which is kind of crazy. And I would have needed to go for the rollout down here, actually. This is a mistake to go for the Avalanche. I highly doubt it matters at all. It doesn't matter at all. Yeah, well done from the opponent. Great play. Let's move on to the next opponent. We're going to have the Druddigon against us. And Druddigon, again, is going to have great coverage for this team, for any team. I made a video towards Druddigon, a team that someone else, like the coach as well, hit legend with. Definitely check it out on the channel as well. And also, if you want to support the channel, this is the time to maybe leave a like on the video and follow it while you're at it as well. If you haven't followed yet, it would be really appreciated this, because yeah, I want to kind of grow the community here. Pokemon Go, PvP, honestly, while we have this out already for that long here, whether we see a Metagross that gets completely destroyed by both Vespiqueen as well as our Dusknoir, and while we had already basically Pokemon Go PvP out for ages now, like literally ages, the thing is here, I do feel like there's still so much potential for this game mode to grow. Here, whether we didn't have a chance, our backline just got walled by it. This is a team, by the way, from Kilmon Toast, shows to you. Very cool content there as well. Check them out. But I do think that still, like, the community has so much to grow. The game itself is now, for the first time ever, actually consistent for like 1 season now. This is the first season where it actually is consistent gameplay since the beginning. At the beginning, 5 seasons were still consistent. Then there was like a cheat that was happening, and that had to kind of force Niantic to completely rewrite the Go Battle League code, where Go Battle League was down for even a while. And yeah, ever since then, basically it has been lag, and this has been now the case for like 4 years. Then Scopely took over, and the lag is gone. Like, the lag is gone, everything is fine. I don't even remember really when the last time I lost a game due to lag. And that's kind of cool. That's really nice to see that the game actually works. And this is the thing as well. Now we're in a position where if we're going to get updates to the game, it's going to grow the community. And this is something that we just need to have happen now. Hopefully Scopely is aware of this. We need something to show 6-pick-3 format in the Go Battle League, or like in Pokemon Go directly. And this would completely impact everything. Anyway, this is actually the last build already of the team. I forgot to kind of do a team review. This team was amazing. Vespiqueen is really cool, very good, very strong Pokemon, very bulky, I loved it. The best Pokemon in this team and in this cup generally is though Shadow Dusknoir. Definitely play it. This is going to be it for today. 4 out of 5 stars I would say, and we'll see you then. Bye bye.